In this video, we will be discussing best practices for the countCAM2 setup. That's things to consider while you're setting up your countCAM. For information on how to actually set up a countCAM to get your camera from the office out into the field with what tools you'll need, follow the link shown here for those details. So whether you're recording an intersection, a mid-block crossing, a railroad crossing, or whatever else, when you get to the site, you need to identify everything that needs to be captured in your video. This may include crosswalks, channelized right turns, signal heads, stop bars, and many other things. Once you've figured out what you need to record, you can then figure out where to put your camera. To get the clearest video possible, you want to get as close as you can while still capturing the desired area. And that depends on the size of the area you're recording. For a small intersection shown here, you can get right on top of the intersection, but for a big intersection shown on the bottom here, you'll need to be further away. The typical distance for countCAM2 recordings are 50 to 200 or so feet away from the intersection. For very small recordings, the camera can be very close to the intersection. As shown here, we've got a countCAM with the booster pack about 25 feet away from the edge of this small intersection, and that's far enough back to capture what we need to see. For large recording areas, you'll need to get further back. At this intersection, there's channelized right turns, so we needed to get outside of those right turn lanes to be able to see all vehicles making all movements. So at this location, the camera is about 200 or so feet away from the stop bar. And for very, very large locations, or locations with kind of an obstructed view, large locations such as a single-point urban interchange or a larger roundabout with a raised center, you may want to use multiple cameras to make sure you have a clear view of everything going on. If you're recording a very large intersection, it might be hard to see pedestrian movements on the very far end. A rule of thumb to use with the countCAM2 is the 300-foot limit. While the camera can see beyond 300 feet, the clarity is somewhat reduced. So if you need to cover a lot more than 300 feet of intersection, consider a second camera. This is definitely the rare case, but it does happen now and then, where it is beneficial to have more than one camera. Lastly, you're going to want to avoid obstructions. Pick a location when possible to avoid the setting or the rising sun. In the winter, the sun can also be low in the sky. In our part of the world, we try to point the camera north whenever possible to avoid having the sun enter the frame. The video is not likely to get washed out totally, but having sun glare can impact the visibility of part of the recording area for a portion of the day. Also, be careful not to set your camera where large vehicles are likely to stop. This includes bus stops or loading zones. We've been burned before on this when a semi-truck pulls over in front of our camera and parks for a few hours. As always, get the camera as high as you can for the most top-down view possible, and this could help avoid some blockages. But in general, just be aware of your setup location. Think through what could possibly get in the way of your camera, and try and avoid that.